Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something fascinating, the KL-Selangor border. Is it just a line on a map, or does it actually mean something, financially?
Exactly. We think it really shifts the ground for residents, investors, businesses. So yeah, our mission today is to unpack those key differences.
What really separates KL and Selangor? We're talking governance, property rules, even future plans.
And how that all translates into, well, real money consequences. It's more than just an administrative line.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The governance, right? That seems fundamental.
hmm
KL is a federal territory.
That's right. Governed by DBKL, Kuala Lumpur City Hall. An appointed body. Critically, residents don't vote for the mayor.
Right, but Selangor is different.
Totally different. It's a state. It has its own elected state government, its own local councils, democratic process.
So how does that, immediately play out for someone looking to invest? Does that structure change the risk?
Oh, definitely. It creates quite distinct risk profiles. KL being federal, top-down, you might get decisions faster, potentially.
But maybe more political risk. Federal policies change things quickly.
Exactly. Whereas Selangor, with its elected bodies, things might move a bit slower, perhaps, but you could argue there's potentially more long-term policy stability.
And does this affect something basic, like land administration?
It does. Even though there's one national land code for everyone, you've got two separate bodies implementing it, KL's Land Office and Selangor's.
Leads to inconsistencies.
Yeah, what some people call regulatory friction. Imagine a project literally on the border. You're dealing with two bureaucracies, two sets of interpretations sometimes.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a headache. But you mentioned property rules earlier. This is where it gets really interesting for investors, especially foreign buyers, right? The minimum price thing.
Ah, yes, the big one. The RM 1 million question, you could call it. In KL, it's pretty straightforward. RM 1 million, minimum purchase price for foreigners. Full stop. All property types.
Simple enough. But Selangor?
Not simple at all. It's zoned. In prime areas, think Petaling, Gombak, Klang. The minimum for foreigners jumps to RM 2 million.
Double. Just for crossing the border.
Double. But in other, maybe more rural zones, it's back down to RM 1 million. It's very clearly Selangor's strategy, to sort of shield its local housing market.
So as a foreign buyer, location by just a few meters could drastically change your entry point. Okay, what about once you own the property? Taxes, ongoing costs.
Also different. Stamp duty, well, that's federal. It's now a flat 4% for foreigners across the board since early 2024.
Okay, uniform there. But local taxes, assessment rates.
Big divergence. KL's rates through DBKL, they're pretty stable, usually between 4 to 8%. Selangor, though, just did a major revaluation exercise for 2025.
Uh-oh. Meaning higher taxes.
Well, they've capped the increase in the payable amount at 25%. But yes, it means a guaranteed bump in holding costs for property owners there.
Which could make KL look, cheaper to hold long-term, maybe more attractive for tenants sensitive to rent hikes.
Potentially, yes. It shifts the calculation. And we actually see this impacting property values directly.
You mean like a KL premium, even for places right next door?
Absolutely. Take Taman Melawati, it straddles the border. On the KL side, median prices are around RM 875,000.
Okay.
Cross the line into the Selangor side, the median drops significantly, down to maybe RM 650,000, RM 686,000.
Wow. That's a huge gap for basically the same location. You think that's mostly the foreign investment rule?
It's a major factor. That lower RM 1 million threshold in KL just opens it up to a wider pool of foreign buyers, boosting demand.
Makes sense. What about businesses, commercial property? Are they facing similar calculations?
They are, but slightly different factors. KL City, the core, still gets the top rents. Prestige, access, you're looking at RM 6.40 to over RM 10 per square foot.
Premium pricing.
Definitely. But then you look at somewhere like Petaling, Jaya, and Selangor, great infrastructure, talent pool, rents are much lower, maybe RM 4.50 to RM 5.50 per square foot.
So significant cost saving for businesses may be prioritizing operations over a KLCC address.
Precisely. And things like the expanding MRT network are making Selangor locations increasingly competitive connectivity-wise.
It's not just rent and taxes, though, is it? I imagine even the day-to-day regulations, the fine print, can differ.
Oh, absolutely. Even down to things like signboards. Petaling Jaya City Council, MBPJ in Selangor, they have a rule that Malay text on signs must be at least 30% larger than other languages.
That's stricter than KL.
It is. DBKL has rules, but that specific size mandate isn't there. It just shows, a slightly different regulatory philosophy in action.
So looking forward, how are their big strategic plans shaping the future? Are they growing together or diverging further?
Interesting question. KL's Local Plan 2040 seems quite inward-looking, focusing on making the existing city denser, regenerating areas.
Then Selangor.
Selangor's Structured Plan 2035 is much more outward-looking. They're talking about a polycentric economic region, basically creating new growth hubs outside the immediate KL shadow.
You see that in the big infrastructure projects, too.
Clearly, you've got the MRT3 Circle Line reinforcing KL's core connectivity, but then look at the ECRL, the East Coast Rail Link.
That cuts through Selangor.
Big time, especially the western and northern parts. Stations planned for places like Bandar Serenda, Port Klang area, that's poised to create major new industrial and logistics corridors in Selangor, really leveraging its space.
So it really hammers home the point. This border isn't just administrative fluff. It's a real structural divide with very tangible financial implications.
Absolutely. And perhaps the final thought for you listening is this. If you're making strategic decisions, investment, business location, anywhere in the Klang Valley, you cannot treat KL and Selangor as the same.
Assuming that just because places are close, they're similar.
That's a potentially very costly mistake. You need to understand which ecosystem, KL's or Selangor's, you're actually aligning with. The due diligence has to be specific to that side of the line.